Speaking of still working on things, people are now really panicking about Jasson Dominguez just because he's under the microscope. So anything that he screws up,
Yep.
everyone's going to notice.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsulias. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. With me, as usual, my co-host, Brian McKeon. Brian, it's Friday. We made it.
Friday. Finally, right?
I don't know. Does it feel like February is going a lot faster than January did?
Well, it is shorter.
True, but it feels like January lasted 4 months and February was 2 weeks.
Closer baseball. Works for me.
True. Before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our videos on YouTube, like our videos, hit the bell so you're notified when our videos go live. Coming up on today's show, it's Fan Mail Friday, and we answer your burning questions. But first, let's talk some spring training, because as of recording this show, it is February 27th. When you're watching this, it's February 28th, which means on February 28th, we are just under a month until opening day. We're almost there.
Yeah, just about, right? Like a day less than a month away from opening day. Yankees played the Phillies earlier today in I guess, well, not in, but at Philadelphia's spring training facility.
Yeah, Clearwater,
exactly.
yeah.
Right off the highway.
Yeah.
Anthony Volpe hit an absolute bomb. It was actually the hardest hit ball that he's hit in his career. Carlos Rodón struggled, which people lost their minds about because, he's not working on things. He should be pitching like it's Game 7 of the World Series. And Jasson Dominguez had another error in the field. So a lot of newsworthy stuff that came out of this spring training game.
Yeah, it's just it's funny that we were talking about Volpe on yesterday's show, and he hit a home run too.
Yeah, mashed one too. I mean, he got all of it.
Yeah, that looked good. He hit a home run, 2-run home run off Matt Strahm too. He's not a slouch.
No,
so
not at all. That Phillies team. I saw an interesting topic on social media earlier today of who's the favorite in the NL East, and it is really tricky because that Phillies starting staff, it's probably as good as the Yankees one. It's in competition with the Yankees and Dodgers for the best starting staff in baseball, honestly.
Yeah, and then with the bullpen, I mean, they got Jordan Romano.
Yeah, they're really good. Like they are a stacked team.
Yep. Yeah, they're always stacked. The last few years they've been stacked. Things haven't worked out the way they want to, but
they are like, I mean, it sounds very simple when it comes to building a baseball team, but they are built perfectly. They're built to score a lot of runs and to not give up a lot of runs, which is the essence of essentially the goal of the game, right? So they are built like a perfect baseball team. It just needs to work out for them.
Yeah. As you said, Rodon didn't look that great, but again, it's what is it? The second time he's thrown in spring training.
He's working on stuff. Like, I'm not getting concerned about Carlos.
Right. 2 2/3 innings, 3 runs on 4 hits. He gave up a home run. He walked 2. He struck out 4. Mm-hmm. So, not terrible. But again, they're still working on things. And, let's not panic about that.
At all.
Speaking of still working on things, people are now really panicking about Jasson Dominguez just because he's under the microscope. So anything that he screws up, everyone's going to notice, which is unfair to him because it's spring training. He's training to be a left fielder. If Chuck Knobloch can play in left field, I think Jasson Dominguez can play in left field.
Yeah, the only thing that concerns me for it, I'm not concerned when he makes more errors because it's going to happen. Especially, I mean, the play today was not an easy play. It was up against the wall, running backwards. It's not an easy play to make, but it's a drop at the end of the day, and people are going to be concerned about it. What bothers me more about it is the freak out session that we have when we see it, because baseball is such a mental game, and it concerns me a lot when you see him make these plays, and then it's the first highlight on Geico Sports Night, and it's the first big topic that they talk about everywhere. That is going to destroy a player's confidence. It just is. And that's the scary part for me. The scary part for me is him coming into the year with complete zero confidence in his game, and where do you go from there? That's the part that really concerns me a little bit. especially there was a topic earlier today about, is Jasson Dominguez going to be, would you consider putting Trent Grisham in left field and putting Dominguez in DH? Like, we've given up on him in left field already. That concerns me too, because you don't want to bury a 22-year-old at the DH position this early on in his career.
Well, I saw other people bring up maybe moving Bellinger to left and putting Dominguez in his natural position of center field.
Yeah, I disagree with that too.
But I mean, it's not as silly.
It's
not as silly as making him DH and putting Trent Grisham there full time.
Yeah, I both are stupid because he's played 4 games in spring training. Let's let him figure things out.
That too, yes, yeah. We're always talking about small sample sizes, and I know we kind of, with our glowing review of Will Warren, but Will Warren has clearly made some changes in the offseason because he looked like a completely different pitcher this week. So that's something different.
And another thing too, like, are we going to freak out? Aaron Judge is making his debut on Saturday in spring training. Are we going to freak out if he goes 0 for 4? Or he won't get 4 at bats, but you know what I mean? Like we're not freaking out about Carlos Rodón, right? And Carlos Rodón hasn't looked great out there so far. You can't be losing your mind over, this is what spring training is legitimately for. It's for you to screw up and stuff and learn from, get the kinks out, get the rust out. Exactly. So you can't be freaking out this early. My fear again with the freakouts though is the more and more people freak out, the more and more the media asks questions, is the more and more it gets in his own head. And then when a baseball player loses his confidence, especially this early on in the year, it could just be a snowball effect.
Yeah. So Volpe, the 2-run home run. Oswaldo hit a solo shot. Ben Rice hit a 3-run home run. And speaking of Ben Rice, he added 10 pounds of muscle.
Yeah, we're going to discuss this next week because it's a major story, but he has really bulked up, and him and Spencer Jones have apparently a very close relationship when it comes to the weight room and everything. So we're going to stay tuned for next week. We're going to do that for sure. Maybe even on Monday, to be honest. And
speaking of Spencer Jones, we're doing a quote of the day. It's just something I made up for today. Okay. He said, "My biggest takeaway was when I hit the ball, good things happen. And when I hit the ball in the air, better things happen."
Yeah, it's true. I don't know if he's quite ready for the major leagues yet, but no. I think he'll make it to AAA this year.
Yeah. Words to live by. Try to hit the ball in the air.
In certain circumstances, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's time for Fan Mail Friday. We do this every week. In case you don't know, we answer questions from our Locked On Yankees insiders. They're part of a special club. If you want to join the club, the link is in the description. And every Friday, we start off with Betty. And she says, "It looks like Stanton may very well be gone for an extended period. I fear there's something other than his elbows going on, but that's just me. So who is the best DH option internally and externally? Also, do you think Arenado made the trip Wednesday to try and showcase himself?" We answered the second part of that question. No.
Yeah.
He just was playing.
He's playing because he's getting ready for a season also. Yeah. And that's not meant to be disrespectful towards you, Betty, at all. But
no, not at all.
The people have been asking that question everywhere, and it's gotten on me and Stacey's nerves, quite frankly, because if you think Nolan Arenado needs to showcase himself to the New York Yankees, I mean, Nolan Arenado is a platinum glove, top tier hitting player in baseball. He doesn't need to showcase himself. The DH option, I believe it's internal at this point. I don't think they're going to go in an external option. I don't think there are many external options, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
It might be Dom Smith. And he might make the roster especially if he comes out playing as well as he has. And I think even if it's not Dom Smith, it's going to be, the DH is going to be used as a rotational spot to get guys rest. Yeah. That's what Boone's going to use it as. He's basically admitted that already. But I'd agree with you. I don't think it's something different with Stanton. I do think it's the elbows. Stanton has never been one to lie about his injuries. So he's very truthful. And why would they lie about both elbows? So I do agree with the fact that the Yankees, I do think it's his elbows for sure. I don't think it's anything differently than that. But I do agree with you. It does feel like he's going to be out. I don't expect to see Stanton at this point until June, honestly.
Yeah.
Let's go to David F. He asks, given the unexpected success the Yankees got from Luis Gil, Clark Schmidt, and Luke Weaver last season, which one of these 3 players do you think will most likely have a repeat performance? That's a really interesting question, actually.
I would like for all 3.
Well, yeah, that'd be great. I would say Clark Schmidt. I just think his stuff translates the most to longevity and to success. Luis Gil, who I think is awesome. The problem with Luis Gil is he relies a lot on velocity. It's a lot on striking you out with high velocity pitches up in the zone. There's potential there for guys to figure that out. Again, like guys go a whole career with working on that kind of stuff and pitch really well through it. But also relying on high velocity, you're relying on just beating you guys with straight strength, which is great for a time. But once there's a full season of film out on you, once there's a full season of analytics out on you, guys can prepare for you a little more. When you're a guy like Clark Schmidt who relies on location and movement and stuff, you can change things up while other guys are trying to study you and stuff. So you're a lot more unpredictable if you're Clark Schmidt, which I think bodes well to longevity. Whereas I'm not saying Luis Gil won't have longevity. I'm just saying he becomes a little more predictable when it's straight strength. Now, he can still beat you with that strength, and his velocity is still incredible. I just think Luis Gil's coming off the most innings he's ever pitched in his career last year. You don't know exactly what you're going to see out of him going forward. And I think Luke Weaver is kind of a wild card. He's been demoted without a deserving reason to be demoted. I mean, he was a closer for a team that went to the World Series last year. And he was the World Series closer last year. Let's be real. I mean, it was not a Clay Holmes towards the end of the year at all. And he closed out a lot of big games in the playoffs, did struggle at times, and he got demoted, but not for a deserving sense. He got demoted because the best closer in the league got traded to the Yankees. Yeah. So, it is a weird stake of what you're going to see out of Luke Weaver. I don't know if he's a guy that's confidence gets really shaken too easily, to be honest with you. So he's a guy that I'm very interested to see how he plays this year.
Yeah. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notifications so you know when our videos go up. And if you would like to be part of next week's Fan Mail Friday, post a reply underneath the pinned comment in our videos Monday through Thursday. You can ask us anything, or you can join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club, where you get top priority and your questions are answered in segment 1, or in this case, segment 1 and 2. The link is in the description, and it isn't only for Fan Mail Friday. You get text from us, you can text us questions, and you don't have to check social media. We'll let you know all about Yankee news. There's a 14-day free trial. It's a good time. So coming up next, more Fan Mail Friday questions from our insiders.
When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in on the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. I love using FanDuel's live betting feature because it keeps every moment of the game exciting. Whether I'm backing my team for a late-game rally or picking a player to hit a clutch 3, I never feel like I missed my chance. Plus, the app is easy to use, and when you win, you get paid out instantly. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel. It's an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Stacey, we're back for this second segment of Fan Mail Friday for this week. Only a few weeks away from opening day. It's getting closer and closer. Let's see. And, with sports heating up again as March Madness starts up, it'll be here before you know it. It really will. So let's get to Ethan Miano. He has the first question of segment 2. What are some specific moments from baseball history that you think could have been dramatically changed if the ABS system and or the current challenge system had been implemented at that time? I've got a huge one. You're going to come up with I know you have a Yankee one that you're probably going to come up with.
Yeah.
Because I can think of a Yankee one immediately. But the one I'm going to go with is actually outside of the Yankees. I'm going to go with Armando Galarraga's perfect game.
Oh, yeah.
There have been so little perfect games thrown in the history of baseball. And that, the great catch in center field by Dwayne Wise in that game. I mean, that was an amazing game, an amazingly pitched game. Really the last good moment the White Sox had as a franchise. And Jim Joyce made one of the worst calls in sports history because it was so, the runner, Stacey, I mean that not in hyperbole. The runner was so obviously out. And with 2 outs in that situation, you also just can't make that call unless the guy is so obviously safe. It's not even funny. I don't know how that call was ever made. I still don't get it, but that is a big one. And I think I know where you're going for yours.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I can't imagine you go anywhere else, but let me hear it.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, now I'm like, what do you think I'm going to say? Because I was thinking the Tino Martinez Grand Slam against San Diego. Yeah, that wouldn't have happened.
You don't think it would have happened? Interesting. Okay.
No, there was a call that was totally for the Yankees that would have been strike 3. And then Tino hit the home run. Yeah.
Well, I guess because of ABS, I'm thinking more of the replay. I was thinking more of Jeffrey Mayer. That was the one that really got in my head because it's because it's also a World Series game.
Yeah,
I was thinking more challenge wise because there's no way that Derek Jeter home run counts.
Yeah. Oh no, definitely not. Definitely not.
It is an interesting question. Now, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of moments in baseball history. A lot of moments in baseball history you can go back to that we're not even thinking of right now. That replay would have completely changed. I mean, the course of history when it comes to the sport.
Yeah, that's funny. I'm just double checking something. Galarraga was on the Tigers, not the White Sox.
No, that was the perfect game with the White Sox. That was the blown perfect game.
No, wasn't it the Tigers?
I'm like 90% sure it was the White Sox.
Yeah, no, it was the Tigers because Miguel Cabrera was playing first base. It was the Tigers.
You might be right, actually.
Yeah.
Wow, why am I thinking White Sox? Was it against the White Sox?
Let's see.
I know it was definitely Jim Joyce because he wrote a book on it.
Oh yeah, no, it was Jim Joyce. Yes, but Galarraga was with the Tigers.
I know Dwayne Wise had a crazy diving catch in the gap in that game. In the left center field a gap. He made he caught it diving and then he bobbled it and held on to the ball. Why am I thinking of? Because there was another. Didn't the White Sox throw a perfect game at that time? Was it Mark Burley who threw a perfect game at that time?
He threw a perfect game. I can't remember what year that was.
It was around that same time, early 2010s.
Okay, so that might have been the Mark Burley game that you're thinking of. Dwayne Wise.
Regardless, it would have changed the course of history. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean,
yeah.
I still don't understand how Jim Joyce made that call. I really don't.
The thing I've always said too is even if the way you saw it on the field was the runner was safe, which again I don't know how you could have seen it that way. He was so obviously out.
Yeah.
But even if the way you saw it on the field was he was safe, just because the perfect game is what's at stake there, you can't make that call on principle unless he's it was with 2 outs, Stacey. Unless he's undeniably no question safe by a couple of feet, you can't make that call in that spot. But a perfect game on the line. It's one of the craziest calls I've in sports. It really is.
Yeah, that was bad. Thank you for the question, Ethan. Up next, Thomas Cassidy says, here's a scenario. It's October. The Yankees are going to the World Series. Stanton is still on the shelf. Boone is still the manager. What unexpected things went right to make this happen?
I want to say this as an answer to this question first. That's not fair to Giancarlo Stanton.
Right.
It's not to assume that he's going to still be on the shelf. Giancarlo Stanton has not had a single season-ending injury for the Yankees. Now, he's gotten hurt plenty with the Yankees. He has never had an injury that's kept him out the entire season. That's not a fair comment to him. And I'm not trying to go at Thomas or anything, but you see it a lot from Yankee fans of the ultra negativity of Stanton. He's hurt again. He's hurt. Like the point that you've made, he's never missed an opening day for them. Like right. it's not fair to just
or for anyone.
Yeah, to put this narrative on Stanton that he's this ultra injury prone, never healthy. I don't think anyone expects him to miss the entire season. So I don't know if that's fair on Giancarlo Stanton. I will say this. I also don't think it would be anything unexpected that has to happen for that to happen. Right? Like I think the things that need to happen for the Yankees are expected things for them to get to the World Series. Garrett Cole has to be your ace. Fried and Rodon have to give you number 2, number 3 numbers and be good, right? Devin Williams has to be awesome. Aaron Judge has to have great power numbers. Cody Bellinger has to give you 30 home runs. Goldschmidt can't be a complete bust. I think nothing to me would be surprising if this team, I mean, yeah, there could be surprising elements. I guess Dominguez could go for 50 home runs and become a Gold Glover. Like there could be elements that are surprises, but I don't think those things need to happen for them to make the World Series, to be honest with you. Like it wouldn't surprise me if they're in the World Series this year. I think they should be.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Eric S., the last question for segment 2 and the last insider, asks, who is the next Yankee to get his number retired? We've done this one, I think, before.
I think we did do this. Did we say CC?
Yeah, I think it's CC, honestly.
I think so. Yeah.
I don't think there's any other way that you're going to see another Yankee get his number retired. Think about the era of the mid 2010s, late 2000s. I mean, who is the Yankee that you'd retire, that whose number you'd retire? I mean,
Right.
it would have been Robinson Cano if he didn't get caught with the steroids and stayed with the Yankees. But
A-Rod. Same
I
reason.
think it should be A-Rod, but they won't retire A-Rod's number. Even
No.
though he's repaired his relationship with the franchise, they're not retiring his number.
Right.
Other than Stacey, I don't know. Like who else is the Yankee out there that's deserving of getting your number retired is a pretty significant achievement, especially with the Yankees. So I think it's CeCe, and I think that's the only option for a while. I think after CeCe, it's probably Judge and Cole.
Right.
Honestly. So yeah, I think it's CeCe.
Yeah. And if the world is still around by like 2100 and the Yankees are still playing baseball, they're going to either go to triple digits or fractions because they're not going to have any numbers left.
Fractions.
Yeah.
Fractions is interesting.
Decimals.
Now batting number 5/8.
Yeah. Oh, man. Garrett Cole Jr. No, that sort of thing.
I mean, we couldn't. He doesn't have a son, though, right?
Caden?
Oh, yeah, Caden Cole, yeah.
Caden Cole. Yeah.
I hear he's throwing 88 already.
Yeah, that won't be 2100, but
that kid's gonna have an arm though. Between Amy Cole, who used to play softball, and Garrett Cole, I mean, that kid's gonna have some heck of an arm.
Aaron Judge's daughter, if she lives to be 75, will be around in 2100. That's crazy.
True.
That's crazy.
Yeah, she's already 5'6", actually. She's like 2 weeks old.
She already has a glove. She's already gonna play baseball. Maybe she'll be the first woman to play baseball. Who knows? I mean, professional MLB baseball. I mean, other women have played professional baseball, but I mean MLB baseball. All right, coming up next, the questions you so kindly left under our pinned comments on YouTube. So we have reached the YouTube portion of Fan Mail Friday. Thank you to all the insiders who sent in questions. Our first YouTube question comes from Vincent M. Durham, 1695. Do y'all think the Yankees are the favorites to win the American League East and AL pennant? Keep up the great work, Stacey and Brian.
Absolutely. No question. Every gambling site has them as the favorite. And quite frankly, they should be. They improved their team from last year. They've gotten better. Now it's changed a little bit, and you're expecting things from some players that you don't know what you're going to get out of. They should be the favorites in the American League. And look, I think it's more of an example of, Stacey, what's around them in the American League. Like the Yankees have gotten better, sure. But has the American League around them gotten better? Not really. I mean, the only team that I can think of in the American League that got significantly better is Boston.
Yeah.
But other than that, the team that they played in the ALCS in Cleveland, did they get better? I don't think so. I think they got worse, in fact. They traded away some pieces. I don't think Toronto got better. Certainly Baltimore didn't get better. The team they played in the ALDS in Kansas City didn't get better.
Yeah, they didn't really do anything.
Houston significantly got worse. Two of their best players left. Three. They lost Verlander, Bregman. Houston low-key had a horrendous offseason. They lost Bregman, Verlander, and Tucker. They lost three of their best players.
And they're going to have Jose Altuve, who doesn't normally play the outfield, play the outfield. So we'll see how he does out there.
They're a mess. They're an absolute mess.
Wait, here's a legit question. And I'm not saying this to short shame people, but can a guy Jose Altuve's size play the outfield?
I think so. I don't think the outfield, especially if he's going to be in left, which they're reporting, like the Crawford box is just a shorter area to play in the outfield. No,
but he doesn't always play at home.
No, it's
he's
true.
Going to have, and there are other places that have walls where taller guys could actually get to. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think you put in a guy in the outfield for an advantage of robbing home runs, because that happens so infrequently in the sport. I think a little bit of a disadvantage, not enough of one to keep him out of the outfield. I just think it's crazy that he's never played there in his career. Now you're going to all of a sudden throw him there. It makes to me, I mean, Jose Altuve isn't known for having a great arm. He's a second baseman, for God's sake. And there was no talk of putting him on the left side of the infield over the last couple of years when Bregman was hurt. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. Yeah. But they've regressed. I guess Texas I would consider better just because they're getting DeGrom back and they've made some upgrades, but the American League is not that strong. It's really not. So the Yankees, to me, if you go through the American League, are the best team in the American League. And they should be the best team in the American League. And there really isn't a reason why they shouldn't go to the World Series, barring health. So, I don't think that's a crazy thing to even say that they should win the American League. I really don't. And I know that those high expectations people go a little crazy with sometimes, but I don't think there's any reason why they shouldn't win the American League. Plain and simple. Kenny Grooms says the Yankees are injury prone. Pitchers are injury prone. If, parentheses, when the inevitable happens, do you think the Yankees will regret getting rid of Marcus Stroman?
Well, they haven't gotten rid of him yet. Did I miss anything?
Yeah, no, they haven't got rid of him.
Okay, good. I thought maybe I missed something.
And I don't think so, Stacey. And I think more they won't regret it because of the salary implications. And we went over it earlier in the week. He's really not on a 1-year, $18 million deal. He's really on a 2-year. He's really on the original deal he signed last offseason. He's really on a 2-year deal. If he pitches more than 140 innings, he's going to get over that. And you better believe it, because Marcus Stroman is absolutely this guy. If the Yankees don't start him in games later on in the season, and he's at like 125 innings, and can't get to his 140 pitch mark, he's going to file a grievance with the Major League Baseball. He 100% will do that because he's not going to hit his $18 million kicker for his player option. So, Stacey, I think they're going to move him. I think there's too much salary implication for the reasons that I just listed where they need to move him. And I don't think they'll regret it. I know we all think pitchers are super injury prone. The Yankees, barring the Garrett Cole injury last year, have had a pretty decent amount of luck with their starters going into the season. They don't tend to push their starters a lot in spring training. That's not there. Yeah, I know. Keep knocking because that's a good thing. But I don't. The Yankees don't push their starters a lot in spring training. They tend to not do that. Rodon went like 3 innings earlier yesterday. They don't push their guys too often. And I don't think they're going to this year. Everyone seems healthy coming in, and you can't make roster moves, especially $32 million roster moves or $36 million roster moves. You can't make roster moves like that based on what if someone gets hurt. You can't do that. So, I do think in this scenario, they're not going to regret it, and you kind of have to pull the trigger on this and just let it happen.
Right. I would agree with that. I don't know if it's going to happen, when it's going to happen. I think it will happen at some point. Just don't know when and what for, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. And they have options. They do. They might have to go to someone like Will Warren to fill in at some point, but
that's fine. That's fine. Like that's how you develop guys. That's how guys get opportunities.
Exactly. And our last question of this week's Fan Mail Friday comes from Mr. Mallory 94. Besides Cole and Judge, who do you think is a sleeper pick for Yankees team MVP?
I want to hear your answer on this first, because there's a couple of places you can go, but I'm interested to hear what you say.
Devin Williams.
I'd agree with that.
Being a legit
track record's incredible.
Being a legit, like the Yankees are going to have a legit closer. He has a chance to really help them out this season.
They haven't had one since Chapman, and Devin Williams has a chance to make himself a lot of money this season. Because if he's a legit closer, the Yankees are going to give him over $20 million a year. He's going to get over Edwin Diaz's contract as the highest paid closer in baseball. My pick for this question is Cody Bellinger. And I don't think it's hard to call him a sleeper because he is an awesome player, a former MVP. But I think there's a legitimate chance Cody Bellinger hits 40 home runs this year. I think he has more power than Juan Soto throughout his career. And Juan Soto had 41 homers last year. I think batting behind Judge will be a huge plus for him. There's a lot around him in the lineup. And I think because his power numbers, he's this guy who hit 31 home runs in Wrigley Field 2 years ago. And Wrigley Field is not exactly a left-handed hitter's haven to hit home runs. I think people look at the Sammy Sosa era and think, oh yeah, home runs are hit there. They are not hit there. Wrigley Field is not a place where home runs are often hit because of the wind there. And he was able to have some really good power numbers playing in Wrigley Field. And before that in Dodger Stadium, which also isn't necessarily this massive home run hitting park. So I think now that he's playing with a short right field, Cody Bellinger has a legitimate uppercut home run level swing. There's a chance you get 40 home runs out of him, 45 home runs out of him. He's got legit power. This is a guy who won an MVP, who won a Rookie of the Year. He's hit 50 home runs before as a Dodger. I think there's a chance you get a really, really massive year out of Cody Bellinger, and another guy that could wind up costing the Yankees a fortune next year.
Yeah.
Because if he hits 45 home runs this year and has 100 RBI, Stacey, and after losing Juan Soto the year prior, they're going to have to pay Cody Bellinger.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they're going to say, Juan Soto who? Just kidding.
Yeah. We'll see.
We will see. Well, thank you all for submitting your questions. We appreciate you helping us out every week. And thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. For your second listen, find Locked On MLB. Baseball guru Sully brings you a daily blend of humor and baseball. He keeps you updated on every rumor and story throughout spring training. You can find Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. So that's going to do it for this Fan Mail Friday edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll catch you on Monday.